As always, 343 has released another MCC Development Friday update, and today we are going to be covering on what will be coming for the 7th season of the Halo MCC, so stay tuned. As you guys probably know by now, the custom games browser is no longer available, and this is normal because they were only, stress testing the servers and making sure that everything is working, as well as gathering some other data that they need for feedback. In the MCC Development update, they mentioned some of the key points as to what they were testing and the things that were being gathered while the CGB was being tested. And here is what they have to say. There were two key areas we wanted to observe at scale. Concurrency. That is how we perform with a large number of players interacting with the feature and hosting sessions at once. And uniqueness, what emerges when we throw a large number of individual players at the feature. On the concurrency front, our systems held up quite well. We didn't observe any non-linear behavior. That is, our backend performed largely the same with a high number of concurrent players and sessions as it does with a smaller number. We did not surpass or approach any thresholds that would have resulted in failures or other concerning behavior. We did observe a few small areas for improvement in our backend performance as a result of the test, and we intend to take action on them ahead of the full release of this feature. This is one of those areas where no news is good news, so we were pleased by the relatively uneventful results we have observed here. Basically, what they're trying to say here is that using the retail build of Halo MCC, this gave them an idea as to how the backend would scale up to the number of players that are currently playing on the MCC. And typically as a developer, you always don't want to use the production build to test things because there can be instances where it's very risky and everything and things can go wrong. But for the most part, I really didn't have any issues with MCC crashing or any lag with the CGB. I didn't have any issues joining custom games. It seems to be working really well. And what they're saying here is, for the most part, I think they really don't have much issues. Yeah, there might be some, which I'll get into in a moment. But generally, there's really hardly any issues, and that's actually a good thing. And that's what they're trying to say here is the performance that they gathered, the performance data that they gathered during the CGB test really shows that the system that they have now is able to scale up. Hopefully that kind of makes sense here. On the uniqueness front, this test was really important. As thorough as we can be in our internal testing, we can't possibly predict every eventuality. Throwing players in the retail scenario at a feature is immensely helpful in this regard. During the scale test, we observed and fixed two separate issues which were resulting in dedicated service crashing. If you experience a session you were playing in abruptly end, it was probably due to one of these. We also observed cases where a high number of players joined over the course of a session, which resulted in some unexpected behavior which we have since fixed. All of this will result in a much smoother experience when we finally launch the feature. And of course, since this was a test run of the CGB, people were giving 343 some feedback as to what things need to be changed or added into the CGB. The number one request that people want is the ability to search, sort, or filter the game types or game modes that they want to play, which again, this is a standard feature on every server browser, so I do expect 343 to implement this by the time of the CGB launch. The second feedback is regarding the friction surrounding full game sessions, which has the tendency of the lack of clarity in error messages, inability to join game sessions, and the desire to have a queuing function. Now this queuing function that they're describing, I think it may work like this. So let's say you have a lobby of 16 players and this is the game that you want to play, let's say Speed Halo. And the problem is the game is full, so what do you do exactly? Well, with the queuing system, how it works is you pick the server, but instead of having the message saying that, oh, the game session is full, instead the game will put you in a queue. So let's say if one player leaves the game and you are the first in queue, then you'll automatically be placed in the game and you can play just like that. The third feedback is regarding the friction surrounding game session details. I think this is because now I'm not sure what the third feedback is regarding friction and surrounding game session details. I'm not exactly sure what this means, but I guess there were some game session details that were not correct, so I kind of assume that is the problem here. And the last one, which I think a lot of people really want, is the desire for additional host controls, which is like the ability to kick out people that are trolling or something like that, or being toxic. So having the ability to kick out players is, a feature that should be added in the CGB. Next up is an update to the quit penalty and MCC. So for those people that are quitting, these are the new penalties that will take effect next week. So the first offense will be 5 minutes, second offense will be 15 minutes, third offense will be 30 minutes, fourth offense will be 60 minutes, the fifth offense will be 180 minutes, and the sixth offense will be 16 hours. So guys, don't quit your games. Last but not least, let's talk about the Season 7 flighting content. Well, there's not a whole lot here. Basically, what we're getting for the next flight is improvements to maps like Waterfall and Edge. Currently, we do have the Waterfall map in MCC, but you may notice that it's not yet in matchmaking, and this is because they still need to tweak, the spawns and everything, the weapon placement. Those are still being tweaked. And for Edge, it was supposed to ship with the current season, but unfortunately there were issues with performance on the Xbox. So hopefully in the next season we can have Waterfall and Edge in matchmaking. And of course, for every new season there will be some new customization content. The thing is, we don't know if it's going to be for Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo Reach, Halo 2 Anniversary, or even Halo 2 Classic. So we'll have to wait and see. And for this last bit of news, I think for all Halo 1 fans like myself that have been waiting for a very long time, we're finally gonna be seeing visual improvements coming to Halo Combat Evolved to match the legacy version, which is, of course, the original Xbox. Just to give you guys a little context as to what I'm actually talking about here, in case you guys don't know, the MCC version of Halo Combat Evolved is actually based off the PC port of Halo Combat Evolved done by Gearbox Software. And fellow YouTuber Late Night Gaming actually made a video comparing the graphics between the original Xbox versus the PC version. I'm not going to go through the entire list of issues, but I'm just going to mention some of the very key important points here. I do recommend that you do check out the video if you really want to see the visual changes between the two versions. So for example, in the mission, the assault on the control room, if you look up at the skybox, you may notice that on the MCC version, it looks pretty ugly and there's actually no fog effect. But on the original Xbox, the fog effect is actually there and it actually looks much better compared to the Gearbox version. Then the second one I think a lot of people don't know about is when you shoot the Jackal shields, it's supposed to turn red when it takes damage. But on the Gearbox version of Halo Combat Evolved, this is not the case, and inherently MCC carried over that same bug that Gearbox created. And the last notable graphical differences between the PC version and the original Xbox version is the bump mapping doesn't actually update correctly on the PC version or the MCC version compared to the original Xbox, where the only time the bump mapping would appear on the PC version is if you shine your light on it. On the original Xbox, this is not needed. But yeah, I do recommend that you do check out Late Night Gaming's video comparing the graphics so that way you have a better understanding visually so you can really see the differences between the two. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what 343 is going to be doing with this update, and I think this may be the time we will finally get the Halo Combat Evolved that we've been waiting for a very, very long time. And there you have it, guys. That is all for what is coming for the Season 7 flight. What do you guys think? Leave your comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.
I don't know in the